This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. We're here in Vancouver at the East Side Pride Rally, and today we're going to be asking people about the controversial Bill C-16, which seeks to write gender expression and gender pronouns into the Criminal Code of Canada, and also Bill 89, which seeks to be able to remove children from their parents if the parents do not recognize their preferred gender. So let's see what they have to say. So why don't you start by telling us what brings you out today?
Well, I just want to come out to support the LGBTQI community and just have fun and dance.
I just noticed a letter in there I've never heard before. I recall it used to be LGBT, right? And what was the last thing you just said?
QIA.
And what does it stand for?
Lesbian, gay, trans, LGBTQ, queer. I'm not quite sure what the IA stands for, but intersex.
Intersex, okay. LGBTQ, and I heard something about what are those?
I don't actually know what the full line
spectrum
is. I don't.
Yeah.
I believe there's more added. I'm still not sure. There's so many things they keep adding, and it just keeps evolving and growing. It's kind of awesome.
Well, officially it's LGBTQ++, and there's a lot of alphabets added on, and they keep being added on every day.
I don't know that it matters. I mean, I understand the point, but do we all need to have a specific identity? Does it matter? I don't know that it does.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because some people pointed out I think the T stands for trans and the B stands for bi, but bisexual. But I thought bi would imply that there's only two genders, wouldn't it?
There's also pansexual, which would be being attracted to people regardless of their gender.
No, bi is bisexual, so you're either attracted to male and female, and then you have pansexuality, where it's multiple genders, so you're attracted to all genders. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah.
But wouldn't the pan gender still technically be either a man or a woman?
No, it's regardless of gender.
Okay. I thought biology just says there's two sexes, I thought.
Sex would be different than gender.
That's why I have a problem in regards to this, is that it's not really backed by any biological, science-based things. It's all rooted within ideology. And I think in regards to this, people can take advantage of this whole type of situation. And it comes to the whole idea of the Marxist theory of a classless society. They take that in towards society as a whole, so everyone is equal. And when everyone is the same and equal, and when I mean fake equal, nobody's really going to have any type of differentiation towards one another, and it's not going to be a fun society.
Are you familiar with it's kind of controversial now, Bill C-16?
No, I haven't heard of that.
This is a bill that's being proposed where they want to make it a law where you'd have to legally recognize somebody's preferred pronouns, and if you don't, they could get the police involved and have you arrested. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it should go to the point of having the government involved?
Honestly, yeah, because I think it's just a form of respect where, because it's your body, you should be able to choose, what you want to be referred to as. Mm-hmm. And, if they're not going to respect you, then, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You would have to recognize somebody's preferred gender pronoun, and if you don't, you could be thrown in jail, essentially. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's amazing. I think that they should totally go for that.
C-16 is really an amazing bill. I think we need to recognize that everybody needs to be protected in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. What about the rights of the cisgendered individuals who want to just be able to recognize someone as what they were biologically born as? Should they be forced to have to use these pronouns?
I'm not about to make a comment on that. I think we have too many unique individual cases on this right now, particularly before the courts.
But what about the respect and the right of the other individual who, just wants to deal in reality and doesn't want to, subject to that? Should the government have to force them to do that, do you think?
I mean, I think it shouldn't really be up to them what they call another person because it's themselves. So I think they should call people what they want to be called.
I think fuck the government and fuck police and fuck all the people that are in politics. And I think we started as a community and we're all here as a community and it made the community to make the politics happen. So fuck the government, fuck the police and fuck all of them who think that it's going to help.
I literally look at this and I think to myself, well, we have never really talked about this in this regard until modern day. And that makes me think to myself, this is a really hard time in a sad era. Now, I want to think in regards to the part where it talks about 90 different pronouns. Many of these things that, of course, from what I've heard, is not really been more concise with the trans community. And with that being said, I think to myself that if you're literally, somebody could take abuse of this law and basically make a false accusation like, oh, they misused me by their pronoun, they're abusing me, because people can take advantage of laws like that. People think like that's a really bizarre thing to think, but it's happened a lot.
I think that is now abusing the rights of the Charter of Freedom, because let's remember that freedom stands to express one's one thing, not to force your thoughts on society or an individual or a child for that fact. This is like an adult telling a little kid, don't do that, like what I seen, don't open the fridge. You have to ask me. Wow. I ask, why do you do that? Oh, because he or she is going to eat too much sugar. I said, no, not if you educate a child. By educating them, you are giving them dignity, both ways. The person who is asking for that recognition, as well as we, as community. Ain't fair for me to say, oh yeah, I recognize you because the bill says so. Right. I need some reasoning behind that truth. Otherwise, it's a make-up fake law.
Well, let me ask you about this one. Since you mentioned children, there's another controversial bill called Bill 89. And what this would say is that parents would have to recognize the preferred gender of a child. And if they don't, the child could be taken away from them by the government and put in a foster home. Do you agree with that kind of a bill?
When they took the preferred gender, I feel that they just assume that society is going to switch.
But does a child know?
Well, why don't we let him or her decide what she wanna be when she or he becomes an adult? Until then, you just treat the freaking kid as a child, for crying out loud.
I think it should be up to like the child if they want to be taken away, if they're not in a safe environment and like they're not happy living where they are and they think they'd be happier living somewhere else, then I think they should be able to be like taken and put into a different home.
When it comes to sex and gender though, don't you think the parents probably know what's best?
No, because I think like you know yourself as a person and what you feel is like you, and you should just be 100% you.
I was reading about it, and that's the case not for birth parents but for adopted parents. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what I read, which I mean, it seems pretty severe, but also it would be damaging to the child to not recognize their preferred gender pronoun. You could be stunting their emotional growth if you don't. And I mean, I feel like it puts them at risk down the line.
Well, when I first heard about it, I started looking into a little bit of the stats, and there was a study that was done that showed that generally children who are feeling transgender feelings, 70 to 80% grow out of it when they grow up. What are your thoughts on those stats?
Even if that's the case, I don't know that makes a difference for what they're currently comfortable being identified.
Yeah, you need to honor the child where they are when they are, and if that is a phase, to be positive and supportive through what they're experiencing.
Is there an age limit, a cutoff, or any age?
I don't feel so. I think when you have a child, you are taking on the responsibility of loving that child for who they are at any stage in their life.
Let's face it, every parent should be loving their child, right? It shouldn't take a government to tell us to love our children. Children are part of our issues. They always have been. Queer youth growing up and non-queer youth growing up. I mean, youth have to have mentorship. regardless, and their parents need to take an active role. That's like anything. Once you get to a particular level of understanding how it goes, I mean, let's face it, we don't want the government telling us how to run our children, right? I mean, really, you know.
You don't need to tear them from their parents to prove a point. Let the child be who or she is or it is. Just help me to define beyond the words and comprehend what in the structure of your DNA, of your makeup, of your hormonal equation makes you to be in between. Okay?
So responsible parenting is far more preferable than Bill 89 getting the police involved.
Precisely, that's right. I mean, by going that far, you are abusing the child's right to love their parents in whichever way they want, okay? Each family is different. We all love our children in different ways. So why should these rights infringe with the upbringing or the thought processes of a being that is being developed yet, who need nurturing from mom and dad, chemically dependent, physically, mentally, spiritually? Why would you wanna mess up the kids' matrix? Please.
70 to 80% of them grow out of this when they become adults.
Yeah, that is true, but like, if your child says they feel like this, you should support them for the time being, I think, and just like, even if it is a phase, just support them and call them the pronouns and names that they want to be called for the time being, and if they tell you otherwise, then you can stop.
Now, some would say this is a slippery slope, because if you can identify as a man or a woman or neither, a non-binary, then could I identify as a cat or an electric guitar?
I mean, I don't think there are any rules in gender and sexuality. Everyone's just human, so you can do whatever you want to do. But I think objects that aren't alive, or I don't think you can really identify as a toaster.
Right.
Yeah.
But if somebody did, and they truly believed that that was their identity, should you be forced to recognize them as a toaster?
I mean, if they want to be recognized as a toaster, I'll call them a toaster.
Yeah.
It's basically just thought policing, but it's, you see, like a lot of these things with bills, like I've gotten this one thing in regards to Bill 89 and Bill C-16. They say, well, it doesn't say that. It's twist and turn. You've seen a bunch of right-wing websites twist it around. You see, when it comes to bills, motions, it doesn't matter. Any type of government files, they have to make it sound smooth and nice. It's almost like trying to sell something to somebody. It's to make it sound nice so it can pass through Parliament, through not just party lines, but other across party lines, so they can get through. You see, that's how they trick you in regards to this.
Don't you want to care about the children?
Yeah, I know, but sadly, the left and the right both use that argument, but it's not really all that fair, especially in this regard, because it's appeasement. You can even go to like something like Bill C-51. It's the same thing, but just a different subject. And it's just a way to get to your feelings, get to your sympathies, and try to control you. Because if you can control people by their emotions, if you read something like Brave New World, you can control the people, you can control the means of production, you can control them to think and feel the way they are. And that's just how it is and how I see it.
Well, that was pretty interesting to say the least. It seems the LGBTQ community is somewhat divided on these controversial bills, where half of them seem to feel that the government should be involved and the police should be able to arrest people for not recognizing preferred pronouns, and the other half seem to be fully against the bill and don't want the government to be meddling within these ideologies whatsoever. I was also able to explain to some people some of the important statistics in regards to post-operation trans people's suicide rates, and as well as children who are experiencing transgender feelings as a child. 70 to 80% will grow out of these feelings when they become an adult. So I must say I was happy to see that there was at least a percentage of people here who do agree that the government should have no hands in this, and they should not have the ability to take these children away from their parents or to force anyone to use someone's desired pronoun. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to share this content if you found the information useful. And check us out on patreon.com/pressfortruth, because here is where we can continue to do this kind of work through your continued support. It's only through your donations and patronage that I'm able to continue to do videos like these. So please check out the links in the description if you want to support our efforts here at Press for Truth. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth.